what's going on, guys. So wow, you see all that dirt in that truck? So I want to talk about the DoorDash, Uber Eats, and which app do I like the best. So DoorDash, everyone's familiar with DoorDash, you know. You get orders and then you go by levels, and what is it, silver, gold, platinum, and then sometimes they pay you hourly, but lately it hasn't been paying hourly or drivers hourly. So I think the apps, you know, because the way the economy is, that the companies, because they got to make money, you know. So as I was talking, I got an order from Uber Eats, but they wanted me to do 9 miles for $6, so I declined it. So anyways, I was talking to you about DoorDash and Uber Eats. Which app do I think is better for myself? I think Uber Eats is better than DoorDash because you get to see, on Uber Eats, you get to see how much the customer is tipping you. DoorDash, you don't get to see it until you accept it, deliver the order, and then it shows you how much the customer tipped you. Let me pull over here real quick. It's kind of hard to drive and talk at the same time. And so let me say something about this. I had an order from DoorDash. It was $8, right? But I had no clue, you know, to where I was going to deliver the order. So I accepted the order, and then it said I was paying me $8 to go 4.5 miles. I said, well, that's not bad, even though I want to just take $10 orders, you know, like I always say. But that's not bad, because if they pay you double, you know, then, like, let me give you an example. Like, if they say 10 miles and they pay you 20, now that'd be worth it. If they pay you, if you're doing 10 miles, they pay you $5, that's not worth it. So if they pay you $8, 4.5 miles, that's like $1.80 something a mile. So it's okay, you know. So anyways, I went to go deliver this order, right? And see, Uber Eats and DoorDash. Uber Eats tells you how much your customer is tipping you. DoorDash doesn't until you deliver it. So when I delivered the order, right, I looked to see how much the tip was, and it was $3. And these people live like in a $3 million home. So it kind of got me frustrated. I said, you come all the way up here, and the customer is only tipping you $3. They live in a $2 million home. You know, it gets you frustrated because, you know, you're doing all that work, and, you know, the pay is just not worth it, you know. So that's the experience that I have on DoorDash. You know, sometimes you get these orders, and even though it says 8 miles and you're getting paid, or no, sometimes they'll say 4 miles and you get paid $8, and then you don't know how much the customer's tipping you. So that's why I like Uber Eats, because it lets you know how much the customer's tipping you, and if you want to accept the order. Now for me, because everything is so expensive and you have to make a living, and I'm not complaining about, you know, certain things, but like when you deliver and you go up these mountains and all these stop signs, you know, and, you know, it just makes you think that customers only tip $3 and they live in a $2 million home. I mean, that's probably why they live in a $2 million home, because they're so cheap, you know? That's why I don't like taking $8 orders, because it's just not worth it, and you have to make a living yourself. You have to pay bills too, you know what I mean? So I am not going to accept lowball orders from DoorDash ever again. In fact, I'm just sticking with Uber Eats, because I find Uber Eats is a lot better, because like I said, you get to see what the customer is paying you on the tip. And I got an order right now, so let me see how much it is. Okay, so I went to see what it was, and it was 9 miles, right, for $6 pay. So I declined it. And the customer was paying $1, and Uber was paying $5. So I declined it, because it's not worth it, you know what I mean? Like, you have to make a living yourself, and you have to pay taxes, and people don't understand that, And don't say, well, why don't you get another job? That's not. So the phone flew off. So I was saying, yeah, so you have to pay taxes, and your mileage, wear and tear on your vehicle. And in my opinion, I don't care what you do, the way you do your, Uber Eats or delivery route, or DoorDash or Grubhub. You have to, make money for you to survive and for you to pay bills, and when these apps are not paying you, enough, like DoorDash, I think DoorDash has gone way down. I mean, I really do. I think their app sucks, personally, So I'm sticking to Uber Eats, and I'm just taking the big orders, guys. So that's just me, If companies don't want to pay you more, or if the customer doesn't want to tip you more, then why take the order? You know what I mean? And I get frustrated sometimes when I see that. So I've learned that if I just take what I can see, what I'm getting paid from the customer and from the app itself, and if it's good, then I would take it. But if it's not, then I would decline it. Let someone else do it, someone that's probably living at their parents' home, not paying bills or nothing. You know what I mean? Let them take the order. But for me, I'm not taking it. So that's how I feel with Uber Eats and DoorDash. For me, Uber Eats is the best app, because you get to see what they're paying you versus DoorDash, because DoorDash would have, what they're paying you, but you don't see what the customer is paying you and what DoorDash is paying you. You only see the amount, and then once you deliver it, then you see, oh, okay, this is what they tip me. And like right now, when I went to this $2 million home and they're only tipping me $3, I think I'm done with DoorDash. Really. I'm just going to stick with Uber Eats and Grubhub. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, If you guys are frustrated and want to know, how to make, or how to stay on top of, the apps and make more money on the apps, just look to see what they're paying you. And if they're not paying you enough because you have to pay taxes and all that, then don't take it. You know what I mean? Trust me, the apps need drivers in order for the business to survive. So if they're not paying you enough, don't take the order. And that's the bottom line. Because those companies are billionaires, millionaires. And we're like the guinea pigs, we're like little ants, you know what I mean? Scooping up, like the leftovers, just to survive, you know what I mean? Just to make it out here, just to pay your bills, have a little bit of money in your pocket, you know? And it's very tough, especially in this economy right now. So, you know, take the big orders, man. Don't let them rip you off. So, because believe me, guys, they need drivers, you know? And if they hire other drivers, you know what I mean? Once they get the routine down, you know, they're going to say, well, hell, these, you know, apps are not paying me enough. Then why do it? You know what I mean? Skip it. Screw the levels. Because I think those levels don't mean jack. You know? They don't mean nothing. If they don't pay you good, don't do it. That's the bottom line. So, we'll leave it at that. And before I get all frustrated, you guys have a good one. See you in the next video. Take care.